Okay, so we're going to do our socialization time. Now, remember, in order for socialization to be effective for puppies, it has to be enjoyable. If puppies get too excited, that's when they're going to make mistakes. They're going to bite too hard, jump too hard, run too fast. Sometimes the dog running too fast will cause other dogs to get worked up and they want to go correct that dog or try to stay with them. So we're going to start off this play period by doing some rapid fire training. And then we're going to, and I'm going to show you how we can start off. But when you're doing this, especially for those of you watching at home, anytime your dogs get too excited, you hear whimpering or whining in that hysteria, or the play gets too rough, they're running too fast, one dog's pinning another dog down or whatever it is, we need to give them a treat out. A treat out is a timeout that is followed by a whole bunch of treats right away. Now, what we're going to do to start this off is I want everybody to grab about 15 treats. And I want you to do some rapid fire training, whatever your dog's best cue is. What I want is sit, yes, good, and treat. Sit, yes, treat. Sit, yes, treat. Whatever it is, we want to just get your dog's energy down so they're not doing that and focusing on the other. Zach, if you want to shoot that. So if your dog's too worked up, it's not listening to you. So if you do that rapid fire training, your dog is now dialed into you. You see the energy right there changed considerably. Now the dog is focused on the handler because the handler is giving treats, and you got to go faster than that. So you got to get it so fast at first that the dog doesn't have a chance to move away. Now that the energy has come down, we're going to go ahead and I want you guys to do about 2 or 3 more. Then I'm going to have everybody grab your dog's collar, touch your puppy's, treat to your puppy's nose. You're going to turn your puppy so it's facing away from the other puppies, touch its nose with the treat, and throw the treat away. So I want when you release your dog, it's being released away from the other puppies and you're not holding onto the treat. So go ahead and hold onto the collar, detach the leash while you continue to hold onto the collar, turn your puppy or lure it so it's facing away, have a treat, and you're just going to throw that treat about 1 foot in front of your puppy. Make sure you're never throwing the treat towards another puppy. All right, go ahead and throw the treats and release your dogs. There we go. So you see, the dogs did not all rush towards each other. They're going to hear in a second, but they're looking for these treats. The energy is nice and calm. Well, it was for a minute. It's going to come up. Now, as we're doing this, when you're doing playtime, you need to watch your puppy. You should be shepherding your puppy around. If your puppy has a tendency to play too rough, you should try to follow it around. Don't chase it, but just kind of meander towards it the whole time. And anytime that they get too excited, we're going to give them a treat out. And I'm going to kind of demonstrate. Now, the first thing we want to do is try to call them if we can. But if we can't call them and they're just too aroused, we're going to kind of do it like this. Let me see. Who am I going to pick? The energy is pretty good right now. And then get that treat in their mouth right away. There you go. And when one dog has a timeout, we don't want to let the other dogs play with it. So if one dog's getting a timeout, try to make sure that you're shepherding your dogs away. So going to go ahead and we're going to watch the dogs play so you guys can kind of get a feel for what the right energy is. What we're going to look for is dogs that are going to give and take. We want one dog chasing, then being chased. We want one dog on the top and then on the bottom. You'll hear a little bit of grunts and growls. That's okay. If you see the hackles going up, the hair that's on the back of on their back, usually aligned around their shoulders and their hips, that's a sign of arousal. We're going to maybe keep a little bit of a closer eye on a dog. That doesn't mean that we're going to give them a timeout. It just means that they're getting more aroused and they're more likely to need a timeout. The more timeouts you give them now, the less timeouts you'll have to give them later. Now, a lot of times for our play, the play going right now is going pretty good. The energy's good. But if you get to the point where the dogs are playing, go ahead, yeah. If your gut tells you that you need to give a timeout, don't be afraid to do that. But make sure when you're walking over to your dog, you have those treats. We call it a treat out because we want your dog to be turning around as soon as you grab it, expecting to get those treats. And then you wait for your dog's energy to subside to a certain appropriate level. When it's ready, turn your puppy away from the other puppies, let it go. You can throw the treat down like we did to start this exercise, but if you're the only dog that's getting a timeout, be careful about throwing treats. Some dogs have resource guarding problems and that can create issues. Also, don't ever be afraid to give another dog the timeout. You don't have to just shepherd your own dog. If the other guardian's across the room and you can see that 2 dogs need to be separated, don't be afraid to get in there unless you think that there's going to be a problem. The more timeouts, like I said earlier, that you give them now, the less timeouts they're going to need later. So right there, that's a little bit of it's not super bad. We don't want it to get so bad that a fight happens. The idea is to be proactive and to give those timeouts before. Now, humping, especially for young puppies, is usually an indication. Look at that great cheddar timeout he's getting right there. And he's happy to get that. Humping is often a sign of over-arousal in young puppies. So if your dog is humping, you might need to take it outside of the play space and give it a little bit of time to settle itself down. And don't be afraid to do the rapid fire treat. Sit, yes, treat. Sit, yes, treat. Playtime should be probably about 5 minutes for each month your dog is aged, and that's a general standard. It depends on the breeds. I have a Dalmatian. My Dalmatian Quest can probably play a lot more rambunctiously than a dog that is like a sheepdog or something like that. But just because it's a breed thing doesn't mean that they can go a certain amount of time. It's whatever they do, whatever they need, excuse me. And when your dog comes to you, I'll see if I can do it with any of these dogs. None of them are mine. But anytime a dog comes to you, like Cheddar is right here, Cheddar, don't be afraid to give him a treat. If your dog just comes to check in with you, yes, and pet him. The more you reward your dog when it comes to you, the more they're likely to continue doing that. And they're disengaging from the other dogs. And when you call the dogs to you, they're more likely to come to you. You might need to use a little bit of a higher value treat when you're doing this because they're really aroused playing with the other dogs. Now, I like to calibrate. Every dog has 10 levels of energy, I say. Look, great timeout right there. And we can help out. So Cheddar's energy goes from 0 to 10. 10 is as crazy as Cheddar gets. Anytime that Cheddar gets a level 5 energy, that is when we want to give them a timeout, preferably before they get there. And if your gut ever tells you, is it 4.5, is it 5? Go ahead and give them a timeout. Remember, the treat out is not a punishment. It is a management tool to make sure that your puppy does not get too aroused and help them practice playing appropriately. It is very easy for a puppy to learn to play more exuberantly. It is very difficult to teach them to play calmer. You see the energy that we have here. The first week, this is the 4th week of puppy class. The first week of puppy class, we were giving timeouts over and over and over right away. Now you see the dogs are doing a good job of kind of keeping it down and giving themselves those timeouts. And we also have a nice assortment. We have a little bit bigger dogs, a little smaller dogs. We don't want to have such a small dog that another dog playing with it could do damage to it, but helping your dog practice playing with different sizes, different colors, different breeds, and different energy levels are very important lessons for puppies to get. Now, this will help with bite inhibition as well as social skills and developing confidence. The more socialization your puppy gets, the more confident and better prepared they are to deal with unusual situations later in life. Our recommendation is your puppy should be meeting 5 other puppies within 1.5 months age of your puppy every week and a minimum of 1 play date per week. More will be better, but again, as I said at the beginning of this video, it has to be enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable for your dog or the other dog, it's actually going to work against you. We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, but this is just a quick little synopsis of what you're looking for when you're going to have a puppy play date.